Hello and welcome to the United Stand. This is your latest Manchester United news and transfer news. We've got updates for you on Sergio Reguilón, Jaden Sancho, Antoine Griezmann, Thiago and a lot more. But we're going to fly straight into this morning because there is a lot to talk about. And we're going to be starting off talking about Jaden Sancho. Look, we spoke about this a little bit last night in relation to an update that came from Norwegian sources via Jan Åge Fjørtoft about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer having numerous talks with Jaden Sancho and basically telling Manchester United to fix it, to sort it out. A frustration around Ole Gunnar Solskjaer and Manchester United in relation to this deal. And look, I think that does exist. I really think it does. But look, I'm hearing things this morning from people I respect and trust saying, look, you know, this deal's looking like it could be off. But I'm also hearing a lot more about this deal is on. And that's where I'm at. I'm still 90% sure. I don't feel that United can move away from this deal. But look, the summary is this, and we go off what Fjørtoft said last night and some of the things happening overnight and this morning. And I think Sunday morning's always an interesting morning in the UK. I've said this before, we have outlets on a Sunday that traditionally for years have always just been Sunday outlets. So they gather their news all week and then they put it out on a Sunday morning. You call them the Sundays. The Sunday Times, the years ago used to have like The People, which I think was run by The Sun. There's loads of that sort of thing on a Sunday morning. So it's always interesting. There's a lot of crap in there. But in relation to Jaden Sancho, essentially, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is frustrated that this deal has not been done and he's told the club to fix it. He's been hands-on, he's spoken to Sancho, Sancho wants to leave, Sancho wants to come to United, Solskjaer wants Sancho, he is the priority. So we're in that area again where if this deal falls apart, let's be absolutely blunt, it falls apart because of the Glazers. That's where it falls apart. So that's where we are with that. Dortmund want to keep him. I've got no issue with that. And I think people get lost on that. They think, oh, Dortmund want to keep him so he's going to stay. It's not that. It's not like United with Pogba. We're keeping Pogba. United have an ambition to win titles. Whether we can do it or not, that's what we do. Dortmund don't. Dortmund basically have agreements with their players that if certain fees are paid, they will let them go because that's the club they are. So Dortmund wanting to keep Sancho is true, but there is no... they can't force it. They're not going to force him to stay. It's not what their club is built upon. Welcome to Mohammed Shahid, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Now look, just to cover, I think it's really important to cover both sides because I keep telling you this deal's going to happen. I'm 90% sure it's going to happen. And, you know, that's just one side. There is another side of the coin. What if this deal doesn't happen? Why is it not happening? Well, I personally think it's just to do with the fact that it was never going to happen until after the internationals. And I think Man United knew that back in August. I think at the start of August when it came out, they got annoyed because they were never looking at doing this deal until the middle of September. And there could be many reasons for that. It could be that, look, it's a large amount of money. There's a large amount of interest that you can make over 6 weeks by not paying that money. Does it make sense to buy a player at the start of August and start paying him wages for 6 weeks when you don't need to do that? And look, that sounds really narrow-minded. And Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, in his private thoughts, would be sat there like this going... Look, I want Sancho in 3 weeks ago, so he's part of the club. We've had a chat. He's talking to his teammates. He's training. But as a business, Man United will be like, well, hold on a minute. We're going to pay him 250 grand a week. That's £1.5 million we can save. And that's what we are. We are a business. And we're always going to be a business with the Glazers. And what I would say as well with this is, you know, I'm always like a little bit of an analogy, and I think this is a good one. If you imagine that you are a tight arse millionaire, you're loaded, and one of your kids is going to get married to the love of their life, and they keep saying, Dad, and it could be a girl or a boy, doesn't matter, because you can, you know, at the end of the day, diversity street. I know it's traditional that the dad pays for the daughter's wedding, but you can play for the bloody sons in the modern day. That's sexist not to. But anyway, I digress. The reality is, you're the dad, you're a millionaire. When you want a bubble bath, you have beans the night before. You know, you don't like spending your money. That's why you're a millionaire. You've got loads and loads of money and you don't want to spend it. And your sibling says, I'm getting married to this person. I love them. They're my love of my life. And you're paying for it. I will pay for it. I will pay it. When are you going to get married? We're getting married. Well, we want to get married now. Everything's ready. Oh, let's put it back for a month. Just because it just helps me. All right, we'll put it back up for you, Dad. We'll put it back a month. Okay, I'll put it back a month. Gets to that time, Dad, we're getting married. I need to book the venue. Are you sure you love him? I saw the way he looked at you there. Are you sure? No, he loves me and I love him. Are you sure? Are you sure? Because you know what? It might not work out. I'll tell you what. Let's just have a weekend away to Centre Parks instead. I want to bloody marry him, pay for the bloody wedding, and that's what's happening here. I think this is exactly what's happening. The Glazers are the parents who don't want to spend the money. Solskjaer's the son or daughter, well, the son in this case, saying, I want to marry Sancho, I want to buy Sancho. And United are going, are you sure? Are you really sure? Yes, I'm bloody sure. Just get the money in the bank and pay for him. And I think that is probably a fair assessment of how Manchester United work. They will spend the money, but they will try and find a way to not spend it straight away, try and find a way to not spend it. So I think that is probably a good example of what's going on, because when you work your way through it, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants Jaden Sancho. 100%. Jaden Sancho wants Manchester United. Manchester United have got the money. Manchester United probably is that, let's be honest, let's not even say probably. Manchester United don't really want to spend the money. If Ole Gunnar Solskjaer said, I can win you the title with this squad, do you think the Glazers would go, no, let's get Sancho, it's a great signing? They go, no, forget about it. Because business. We're a business, we're not a football club. And they will always try and save the money. Whereas I think Roman Abramovich, City's owners, if Pep or Frank say, look, I can probably win you the title with this squad, but if you want a bit of glamour, let's go and get a Werner, let's go and try and get a Messi, they'll go, yeah, let's do it. We want to be the best, but we want to do it the right way. So I think that's always the struggle that Solskjaer's got. But I think also Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, the way he's handled this transfer window has been very good. And I was thinking about this last night. Now I'll just digress again. If we do get Sancho, look at our business over the last year, and actually, you know what? Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Bruno Fernandes, Van der Beek, Jaden Sancho. I don't care what anybody says, that is a significant 5 players to bring in just over 12 months. Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Van der Beek, Bruno and Sancho in a year. And we talk about not spending money, and we talk about a lack of ambition, but I must admit, it all depends. If you don't get Sancho, forget it. I'm not giving you any credit. But if you do, that sort of 5 signings needs to be replicated every 2 years. That's where we should be at. That's what Manchester United should be doing. I don't want us to say, oh, you know what, fair play to Woodward and the Glazers, they're doing a great job, and Ollie. I don't want any. Let's not dwell on it. I think it's very, very good. And I do give a lot of faith to the club and Solskjaer and negotiations for getting it done. It's been infuriating at times, but I do. But that's what we should be doing all the time. We're one of the biggest clubs in the world. We should be doing this every year. It can't be a blip. We've got to do it every year. Maybe not 5 signings in a year. I totally agree that we shouldn't be signing players of that quality, of that value every year. You shouldn't need to sign 5. We are on a rebuild. But, 2 or 3 every year like that, that's what we should be doing. So, look, I remain confident on the Sancho deal. People say, well, United could drop out and Man United might not do this deal. Tell me a way out of this deal. Tell me a way out of this deal, right? We are losing money because the fans aren't in the ground. I agree. COVID-19 happened. Yeah, I agree. We're in a bit of a financial crisis. I agree. But Manchester United took a loan out for 150, 130 million pounds back in April. As far as I was concerned, that was to cover these costs. We already had a transfer budget. And we are a club that for 15 years has operated in debt. United cannot, let me not, I don't want to use the term United. The Glazers cannot walk away from the Sancho deal and go, oh, we really wanted him. Ollie wanted him. He wanted to come here, but we've messed it up because of COVID. We can't afford it. Well, you bloody well can. You can afford it. You might have to, be a little bit careful. You might have to take a loan out and go into debt a little bit more, but hold on a minute. Don't bloody throw that card at us. Oh, we'd have to go into debt to buy him. What, the debt you've been in since day one? The hundreds of millions of pounds you've been in from day one? Well, at least you're going into debt to buy a fucking player. So I don't see how United walk away from this. I don't see how United spin this. They're not going to be able to spin it because of, oh, it's too expensive because of COVID. They can't. That's not going to wash. They can't spin it because of agent fees or wages, because to be honest with you, he's too good a player. He's too symbolic. At this moment in time, I don't even feel a rant or anything like that bubbling up, because I feel that, I need a drink of water. That's what I do need. I feel that the public briefings, the public release around this deal for the last 2 or 3 months, but definitely the last 6 weeks, has always been from everywhere that Sancho is the priority and he wants to come. And I don't really care if it's bloody Joe Linton going to Newcastle. If that news is around that, and he doesn't go, well, Newcastle have messed up, haven't they? You know, it's there. It's there to be done. And in a footballing sense, it must be done. The only reason they wouldn't do it is from a business sense. And I, to be honest with you, am fed up of business decisions by this club because we're a football club. Hi, Mark. I love the show. Can you say happy birthday to my brother Rich? He's watching in San Francisco today. Who is better technically, Rashi or Greenwood? Says Matt Key. Greenwood. And Chagnani Arelka, well, thanks for the super chat there. Thanks everybody who's tuning in live this morning. And look, you know, somebody said there, well, if the deal's off, we've still got to get a right winger. What, we're going to get Ivan Perisic on loan, who we refused to buy 3 or 4 years ago. We're going to get Douglas Costa on loan, who's got more injuries than a corpse. Well, actually, that's just a really stupid saying, because a corpse might not have any injuries. It might just die of old age. So, what's got a lot of injuries? Look, Douglas Costa himself says, I've had more jokes. I've got more MRI scans than I have appearances. He's injury prone, and he's old. So the fall off from Jaden Sancho is not going to be very good. The only way out of this deal is Dad heal and not pay for marriage, says Chaginania, and this deal will be off if they can't find a replacement in time. No, you know what? I think that before we move on, I think that people are putting way too much weight on Dortmund's opinion here. I don't want to disrespect Dortmund. I think I think even we as a fan base, as a community, have had to shift what we think about Dortmund. I remember saying back in April, you know what, Dortmund, 85 million is what you're getting, and you should be bloody grateful for it. We're in a COVID-19 crisis, but I think that COVID-19 crisis is a little bit less than I thought and many thought it was going to be when we were living it. I mean, look at what Chelsea have spent. I mean, look at what City have spent on Aki. Look at what... who bought bloody Bournemouth's goalie for 20 million? Was it Burnley or something like that? I mean, look, money has been spent, and that basically meant that the Sancho drop in price never really materialised. But Dortmund would love to keep Sancho, but all I can say is Dortmund are basically a German Southampton in many ways. Not in relation to ability. They're the second best team in Germany, and they're one of the best teams in Europe, to be fair. But their mentality is that of a Southampton. They are a nurturer of talent who sell players, and much the same with Southampton and Van Dijk. They didn't want to sell him, but they were always going to sell him if they got a fair price, and that's what happened. I mean, Van Dijk virtually went on strike, didn't he, at times at Southampton? So you've got to understand the mentality of Dortmund Football Club and what they are. They do want to win the Bundesliga, they do want to win the Champions League, but ultimately they acquire talent and sell it. And that's what they do. They won't be able to say to Jaden Sancho when United pay the fee, they won't, when Sancho knows United have put the bid in, and it's the bid that Dortmund said they would take, and then Dortmund go, no, we're not taking it, Sancho probably would go absolutely mad then, because he'd be like, hold on a minute, you've always said to me, if you get the fee, you'll let me go. You might not want me to go, but I want to go. And you've got the fee, so I'm going. So it's a different mindset to get into, but that is the mindset, that Dortmund are not a Bayern Munich, they're not a Juventus, they're not a Barcelona, they're not a Real Madrid. They're not a club that doesn't have to sell, because their motto is to sell if they get the fee, and they get bloody good fees, and that's just how they work. And look, maybe they will change that model at some point, but I don't think they will. The acquisition of people like Jude Bellingham. Look at what they do, from Pulisic to Ousmane Dembele, even Lewandowski to Bayern Munich. They will sell or let players go because that's what they do. Dortmund probably want the full amount in one payment. If this deal wasn't on, Sancho would officially go out and say he wants to stay. He hasn't, so the deal is definitely on. Great work, Mark, says Edwin. And I think that's a very, very simplistic way of putting where we are with this deal at the moment. For anybody saying that the deal's off, or for anybody saying that United are not going to do this deal, or that I've always said this, I'm 90% sure this deal's going to happen, and I've not changed. But if it doesn't happen, I'm 90% sure it's going to happen, by the way. If it doesn't happen, I'm not going to hide. I'll do a video straight away and I'll react to it. I'm not bothered in that sense. I will face up to it. But I've always said that the only thing that would really panic me would be Fabrizio Romano, Christian Falk, or Jaden Sancho coming out and saying the deal's off, Sancho's definitely staying at Dortmund. That would be like I don't know how I could honestly come on a video and go, I don't believe it. It's still going to happen, because I think that becomes idiotic and denial. And at the moment, I'm not in denial. I'm not optimistic. I'm not fake optimistic. I'm totally confident that this is going to happen. And as I said, look, if you want it, I have to give both sides. I'm totally confident it's going to happen, and I hope people feel the same. If you're not confident, and just to cater for you, if this deal doesn't happen, it won't be because Solskjaer doesn't want it. It won't be because Sancho doesn't want it. It won't be because Dortmund won't let it happen. It'll be because United decide they don't want to pay the fee. And that, to me, is a statement of where we fear we are sometimes with this ownership, that they're a business and we're not a football club. It's a statement signing. So I almost agree with what Gary Neville said. It's the calibre of player. It's not necessarily Sancho. Sancho is the player we need this year, but it has to happen every year. It's the calibre. It's the statement to say, we finished third, we want to progress, we've just gone and got one of the best players in the world. It's a statement signing. It's so important. It's bigger than Jaden Sancho. I think in many ways, once we've got Sancho, the pressure needs to come off him. He's not like he's going to be Neymar straight away, but it's the statement of the signing that excites me. It's not necessarily, I mean, Sancho excites me, but I don't want to chuck all the blame or all the pressure onto him. It's the statement of the signing to say that this football club means business and wants to be successful on the pitch. We have to get Sancho, who would make us so much stronger and will fill that position for many years to come, says Vincent McDonald. Thanks for coming a member. Rahul Nayak, latest member of the United Stand Members Club. Thanks for joining. Good morning, Mark. Waiting for your Sancho announcement video soon. Can't wait, says Vicky. I suppose the excitement and the dread thing about Jaden Sancho is inevitable, unless I don't make it that far, God willing, please, is that we will be doing a Jaden Sancho signing reaction or a Jaden Sancho stays at Dortmund reaction, in which case either video is going to be emotional. Mark, please talk to your guy and give us some info, says Arnav. I mean, look, people know I speak to somebody. I speak to a lot of people, but I haven't spoken to my guy in quite a while. It's not like I don't want to be ITK, this, that, and the other. I want us to be a community, and I want us to be a fan channel, and I want us to be an opinion. I would rather Fabrizio Romano gave us a Sancho update every day, and then we just spoke about it, or Christian Falk, or a news outlet like the Manchester Evening News. That's what I like about this community we've built, is that we don't necessarily need info, because the info's there and we can just discuss it and give opinion on it. That's what I love about this channel. So I don't speak to my guy that often, and I haven't spoken to him in quite a long time. Certainly not about Sancho. I think the last time we spoke was Grealish, because the Sancho deal is quite boring in many ways, because it's been like this. We had Fabrizio Romano on in April. Sancho is the priority. He wants to come to us, and we want him. That's the story. The deal is like, you've done it. It's literally just press the switch. It's just pay the fee. And my personal belief is, from what I've been told, that Dortmund don't want 109 million straight out. They'll take it in 90-20. They'll take 90 this summer and 20 next year, or 80 this summer and 20 next year and 10. They're happy to do instalments, but they want it nailed on that they're getting that amount, however long it takes. What do you think about us going for Umtiti, seeing as Barcelona want to sell him, says Tariq Ebrahim. Well, let's move on. Hey, Mark, we're watching from Australia. If the Sancho deal goes ahead, what do you think the chances of a centre-back or a left-back are as well, says Taby Canal. Well, there is other things to talk about this morning. Smash a like on the video, and make sure you subscribe if you're new, bottom right-hand corner. Thanks, everyone. You're very welcome. Every night at 8 o'clock we are live. Every morning at around 10 o'clock we are live. We normally have a midday show as well. We've got one today, actually. It's the FIFA stuff. We're playing DT's team, actually. So lots to get involved with. Fantastic community. And as you saw yesterday, got some big people who watch this show. They're very welcome to come on. We're a United fan channel. We are focused on fans. That's what we are about. And we had a very well-known fan on yesterday. You may have seen the video, Danny from The Script. Really enjoyed that. We've had Ricky Whittle on. We've had Noel Gallagher on, who's not a United fan, but, we love that. Fan opinion is what it's all about. Anyway, let's move on. So, we'll do Sergio Reguilon next, very, very quickly. I spoke about him last night. I don't want to dwell on it too much. There does seem to be a growing movement around this. Now, I've had people messaging me today because I tweeted midweek that expect big news around United this weekend. And people have said to me, oh, you're fraud, you're fake, where's the big news then? And I'm sat there going, hold on a minute. Did I say we were going to sign Sancho this weekend? Did I say we were signing Ben Badashil this weekend? I said expect big news around Manchester United this weekend. Well, effectively, you've already had it. Is it not big news that we are actually considering buying a left-back called Sergio Reguilon, which Fabrizio Romano has said in the early hours? So, I don't know. It's almost like you tell people something's going to happen, and then people are like, well, no, that's not big enough. That's not. It's like the spoilt child on Christmas Day morning. There's your PS4. Bollocks. I wanted a PS4 and 10 games. That's not a good enough surprise. I wanted better than that. Well, look, I think midweek when I tweeted that, there was very little about... I think everyone thought it might be a centre-back. And the reality is, I always said it would be very difficult to release a signing this weekend because most players are on international duty. So that's an impossibility. But I did say there would be big news around United this weekend. And the big news... Look, there's still Sunday to go. But it appears that this Sergio Reguilon story, which a lot of you are very excited about, way more excited than me, because to be honest, I don't really think... I do think we need a left back, but I'm more worried about the centre back position, and I'm wondering what's happening with that because we are only 2 weeks away from our first game. But Fabrizio Romano is basically saying that he's been offered to Manchester United, and Manchester United are going to decide soon about what they're going to do. So, look, United can't sit on these sort of things. They've got to move quick, and I know a lot of you would like to see the deal done. So that's where we are with that. Let's wait and see what United decide. But, you know, when Romano's talking about it, I think it's developing more as a story. Mark, when you're on the kickoff, Geordie made a good point. If we don't sign Sancho, our intentions for a title charge will be laid bare open. Yeah, well, Saga, exactly. You're spot on. It's a statement signing. I don't think any fan of Manchester United or any other club genuinely thinks we can win the title this year. And I don't think that should be our expectation. And we'll be doing our video probably the week after next about predictions for the season. We might talk about it a little bit tonight with Ricky and Adam and Saeed as well. But it's... you're right. If we don't get Sancho, then we don't progress. It's as simple as that. I mean, if you don't get Sancho and you go and buy Griezmann, then, you know, United might think that's a good deal. And the Daily Mail, I mentioned Griezmann because the Daily Mail this morning have said that Manchester United have an interest in Antoine Griezmann. Now, I don't trust that story at all. I think it's just a page filler. But, you know, stranger things have happened in this transfer window. We've gone from not being in for a player to being in a player very, very quickly. And I think that, you know, whilst we can always have an opinion on it, I don't think you can ever dismiss anything. Barcelona are looking to sell players, and this is going to lead us into the Thiago update. Barcelona are looking to sell players at the moment. Antoine Griezmann is a flop. Now, I watched that interview with Messi, and Messi basically going in on the president and saying that the ambition of the club has been really poor. And I thought, you know what, I understand Messi's situation. Barcelona are a bad side. He's the best player in the world. And he's coming towards the end of his career and he probably feels trapped. He doesn't want to leave, but the ambition of the club's not good. But then I thought, well, you know what? If Messi's moaning about Barcelona's ambition, surely our moaning about the Glazers is tenfold that. I mean, they bought Ousmane Dembele for 135 million. They bought Coutinho for 135 million. They've bought Griezmann for 100 million, all in the last few years. So they've spent big money. The problem is that those players have flopped. And Barcelona are in big problems, and financially, I don't think they're in a great place because they've bought all those players, but they've actually not been able to sell many players either. So I think Barcelona will be looking to sell, and I think Griezmann would be a player that they would look to sell. But the interesting thing is, I don't want Griezmann at Manchester United. I think we've seen at Barcelona how much of a bottle job he is on the big stage, and that is not what United need. And to me, Griezmann is just Di Maria in a different shirt from a different country. We don't need to do those sort of things anymore. So I wouldn't welcome Griezmann as a Sancho alternative. I think Sancho is exactly what this club needs and is exactly what Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wants to do. He wants the younger player, not necessarily in age, but he wants the player who has the potential to keep improving and is ready to take the step up onto the world stage. Bruno, Wan-Bissaka, Harry Maguire, Van der Beek, Jaden Sancho. Griezmann doesn't fit in with that. Douglas Costa doesn't fit in with that. So Griezmann's not a player, but it feeds nicely into what I was going to talk about as well, because Fabrizio's been talking about this and a few other people as well. Barcelona need to sell players. They're in sell mode. And I think United are in sell mode, by the way, but Barcelona desperately need to sell some players. Do you think Sancho's performance yesterday was reflected by the amount of stress that this deal has brought down on him by Edward messing it up? Harrison Dunn. Yeah, but you know what? I watched England play yesterday. I did a watch along on That's Football, and I actually thought in the first half he was the best player. I think he always had 2 or 3 players on him. He kept things happening. He faded in the second half, but I ain't bothered. I know enough about Jaden Sancho, and you know enough about Jaden Sancho to know that he's one of the best young players in the world. I'm not going to judge him for an average performance against Iceland. I mean, I thought Sterling was shit. Harry Kane wasn't great. I didn't think Foden was that good either. So, What do you think about the media people in United leak Sancho 14th of the 9th, says Hadrian. Look, I can't tell you when Sancho's going to sign, and I don't want to be that person, but I would say this. I feel, and you can say feel is no, whatever. I'm going to say feel. That Manchester United will sign Jaden Sancho between Thursday is it the 10th? 7th, 8th. Thursday the 10th and the 14th. I think he'll be signed between those 2 dates. Because it just makes sense. And I think when you're working around this, Wrestle India says that the Smalling deal has fallen through. I think when you look at these sort of things, Jaden Sancho, I could have told you this 2-3 weeks ago. Jaden Sancho was never going to sign for United this week or before Tuesday because of international duty. As soon as he's off international duty, I think the Bundesliga starts next weekend. So somebody tell me if I'm right about that. Does the Bundesliga start on Saturday? Because if he plays for Dortmund on Saturday, that doesn't mean the deal's not over either. Because Bruno in January was playing games for Sporting. But I would be surprised if he starts playing games for Dortmund. I think the deal for United is going to kick off big time after Tuesday. And it would be a shame for Sancho if it started kicking off from tomorrow or Tuesday, because he's got to play a game for England on Tuesday. So I think from Wednesday, it's going to go. Mark, Sergio Reguilon a real candidate for Ollie, or is it just another club using United for attracting other buyers, says Vicky. Vicky, I actually don't think we're going to get Sergio Reguilon, but I wasn't confident about Van der Beek when it first came out. So I think United have been offered him. I think a lot of people are getting very excited about the Romano story, but who is saying we've been offered him and United are going to decide soon. And I'm sure United are considering it, and even Manchester Evening News have said United are monitoring the deal, but it feels to me more like United have been offered it than United are going for it. Let's see. But then again, it's like, you might be having your Sunday lunch today. You eat your nice carvery, and you might be out for dinner, or you might be at home, and your mum or your wife or somebody goes to the freezer and said, "Look, you said you're full, but here's a nice strawberry cheesecake. Do you want it?" I do. It's a different taste, and it's very nice. Whereas a minute before, you'd be like, "I'm stuffed, I'm not eating anything." So United might be offered Reguilon and go, "Actually, you know what, for that, we will do it." Mark, the reason we operate in debt is because you pay less tax when you're in debt, as most businesses do, says Adam Creighton. Yeah, but there's debt and there's debt, isn't there? I think United operate in debt because they don't give a shit about not being in debt. Arsenal board expecting top 20 finish this season. David Luiz believes Ballon d'Or is only a matter of time, says the Pops. So yeah, let me carry on with that. Barcelona are looking to sell players this summer. Now, where does this feed into Manchester United? We're not looking at buying any Barcelona players. However, Barcelona want Wijnaldum. Liverpool sell Barcelona, Wijnaldum, and buy Thiago is the path many believe is most likely. However, if Barcelona have got to sell players to get Wijnaldum, Liverpool become impatient around Wijnaldum because they've got games starting very soon, and Liverpool have apparently offered Wijnaldum a new contract and would like to keep him. And if they do that, would they then still go for Thiago? So there is an opening there. There is a little opening there. Of course, Thiago could go to Barcelona. So I think the Thiago one is an interesting one. I feel that he will go to Liverpool and he'll be a very good signing for Liverpool. And I would welcome him at Manchester United now that we've got Donny van der Beek. But I just feel that if United are really in for Reguilon, and we know the Sancho deal is about to really kick off, where does Thiago deal fit in for United? I can tell you now, Manchester United will not want to sign Sancho and have Reguilon and Thiago very close to it, because it's the Sancho deal is, you know what United are about. They're about the clicks. They're about the jazz. Sorry, not the jazz. The hype. And they will want it to be big, absolutely big. So I don't believe we're going to get Thiago. I don't, but I do believe that we are sort of monitoring that situation as well. Keep your expectation low for the Sancho deal, folks, so that you don't break this summer. And someone do... Thiago is a pipe dream, says Paul Robinson. Yeah, I think so. I think it's... I think I would like to do things on percentages. I'm 90% sure we're going to sign Jaden Sancho. I'm 20% on Thiago. I think there's a chance, but it's a slim chance. And Reguilon, I'm probably 40% on him. I'm not even 50-50. I mean, even with Romano saying what he's saying, I just don't think United have gone out to get him. I think they've been offered him, and they might bite on that offer. As I said, they might go for the cheesecake, but I don't really feel that he's likely. I think look, who's the centre-back we're looking at? Because I think that's a more relevant question. What centre-back are we looking to buy? Because we know we need one. And there doesn't, at this moment in time, it's very, very quiet. I always feel Badashir was the one to go for, but a lot of people are saying we're not. That's not true. So, you know, I think centre-back's very, very important. I mean, look, people are giving Lindelof grief last night. I don't really feel that Lindelof's man was Martial, but that recovery pace just isn't there. And I think that was the thing for me. I like Lindelof. I don't think there's a massive amount of difference between Lindelof and Maguire. It's just the attributes that Maguire brings in relation to his height that makes him a better player than Lindelof. But what is abundantly clear with that pairing is they just don't work. They're not a partnership. They don't complement each other. They're too similar, and they both lack pace. And we saw that yesterday. Martial's away from Lindelof and he ain't catching him. You know, and it's a penalty, which Griezmann then misses. I think with Reguilon, if Real don't throw too many clauses in the deal, we could do it. Having two quality players in a position is what we need. We could send Williams on loan, says Sean Turner. Well, remember, Brandon Williams has been given a very big deal, hasn't he? I think we will go back for Ruben Diaz, says Dane Grayson. I mean, look, I like Ruben Diaz, but I've not heard anything about him. Love your show from Down Under, says Gums112. I'm not going to call your wife a prat. And Mark, you said yourself that Shaw's injury cost us the Europa League. We need cover, says Wake the Fallen. I think, yeah, I do. I do think we need... No, look, I've got no problem. If Man United sign Sergio Reguilon, I'll be excited as everybody else. But what I was saying yesterday is it's the disrespect you see on Luke Shaw. Like, hopefully I'll be doing the 8 o'clock show tonight, and I will address this with certain people. I don't like agenda. I don't like it. People would say, well, you've had an agenda against players, but I don't. Like, a year ago, I would have been saying Matic is crap, he's a bag of cement, get rid of him, I can't stand him. I did. I actually probably was saying that back in December as well. Get rid of him, he's crap. Fair play to Ricky. He was like, oh, I think he's a good player. He comes into the team. He does fantastically well. He's not crap like he was in 2019. And I go, you know what? Fair play. He's been absolutely brilliant. He deserves all the praise. That's not an agenda. That is an honest opinion on a player. Like Jesse Lingard's not been good for the last 2 years. Even he admits it. If he stayed at United and he, you know, Bruno comes off and Lingard scores 10 hat-tricks in a row and he becomes the best player in England, then I would praise him, you know, as much as I've criticised him. The same with Pereira, the same with Mata, the same with any player. I don't like agenda. I don't like these people out there, and you know who they are, and you might be one of those people who just decide they don't like a player. And despite them playing really well, I don't like that player. I won't change my mind. It's stubborn and it's an agenda, and I don't like that. And I think that that's what I was trying to get at last night, is that I see it. I see it on social media, and I sometimes see it in our community, and I don't like it. It's just this absolute refusal to see that player is really important to us because you don't like them. And it doesn't happen just to Luke Shaw. I've seen it with Harry Maguire. I've seen it with Paul Pogba. I've seen it with Anthony Martial. I've seen it with Rashford. I don't like that. I think we should always be open to change. And I think some of these players get treated badly. And it's not just fans. I think the mainstream media are worse. Ex-players are sometimes worse as well. Fabrizio tweeted that both Wijnaldum and Memphis are heading to Bayern Munich, says Ames and Adamson. I mean, look, if Memphis is going to Barcelona, I predict that Barcelona are going to, and Wijnaldum are going to have problems. That they are not. I like Memphis, and I think Wijnaldum's a good player. But I mean, if we bought Memphis and Wijnaldum, would you be like, oh my God, we're going to win the league? Exactly. No offence to those players, but they are not players that are going to turn Barcelona into Champions League winners, are they? They're not. They're good players, but you can see why Messi wants out, because they're not. Barcelona should be buying Jaden Sancho. Barcelona should be buying Verratti. They should be buying the best. Mark, I like Luke Shaw, but I think Reguilon is better than Shaw. He's faster and better on the ball, says CV Kevin. Well, of course, that is your opinion, but I disagree with it. And I also would say I think it's always very dangerous because he's never played in the Premier League before. It's the same as saying Van der Beek's better than De Bruyne or whoever. I mean, we all like to do it because it's our player, but until they play in the Premier League, it's totally different. I think people really do underestimate how good the Premier League is in relation to the speed of it, the tenacity of it, and the ability you need to have on the ball to play in it, because it's quick. It's very quick compared to most European leagues. It doesn't mean that you can't bring a player in who's technically better than a lot of the players here. You know, you look at the David Silvas, the Bernardo Silvas. Once they get up to pace and De Bruyne, they absolutely rock it. But it's not for everybody. Loads of players have been over here and struggled, whether it's left backs, right backs, centre backs, midfielders, strikers. It's different. Would you be happy with Van der Beek, Sancho, King, Reguilon and Diop from West Ham? I don't think that's too unrealistic with 4 or 5 outgoings, says Sean Turner. I'd be very happy with Van der Beek and Sancho. I'd be very happy with those. Diop from West Ham, at least it's a centre-back. Reguilon, yeah, I'd be happy with that. Josh King, I think that would be the one where I'd go. That's a shame. I don't think he's good enough. I don't. Just like I said there, I don't think Memphis and Wijnaldum are players that are going to make Barcelona where they need to be. I don't think Josh King is a player that's going to make us where we need to be. I mean, look, you're 2-1 down at Anfield with 15 minutes to go. Rashford's been subbed off for Dan James. Martial's up front and Sancho's on the right. Greenwood's, injured. Martial pulls his hamstring. Josh King, on you come. You've got Dan James, Josh King and Sancho as your front three. These things happen in a season. Greenwood was injured anyway. Rashford's gone off because he's tired. Martial pulls his hamstring. 15 minutes to go. Josh King comes on. That's how I assess every transfer. Luke Shaw gets injured. Sergio Reguilon plays. Fine, brilliant. Sancho, Van der Beek, Bruno's injured. Greenwood's injured. Brilliant, absolutely fine. Martial's injured. Josh King comes on. I think, well, no, not for me. And I don't think he's a player that can get any better either at 28. So that to me is not the level of player that we should be looking at. But I would be very surprised if we don't buy him. What do you think Saeed's big announcement is, says Daniel Molnus. Look, I'll banter Saeed on the show tonight. I don't believe Saeed's got any sources at all, apart from the ones he puts on his chips. And I don't think he has, because he said that he was talking about a big takeover 3 months ago. I've been told we're having a big takeover. No, we didn't. So I understand why people don't believe what things I say. I think there's enough information out there from credible people that we can all assess and get. But we live in this world at the moment where everybody's looking to be, I've been told this. Do you really think, in all respect, that me or Saeed are going to get a phone call from somebody saying Sancho's definitely happening and it's happening on Wednesday, but Romano's not going to get it? And that's how I always say with these things. Romano might not tweet it today because he might be like, I'm going to wait a bit, but that's not how it works. I mean, Fabrizio Romano, he's got agents, lawyers on speed dial. Like, there is not... These people who put ITK next to their account and pretend they know more than Romano, they don't. They don't have those connections. And if you did have those connections, you'd have your real name and face on Twitter, because this would be your job. You wouldn't hide anonymously with that information because it doesn't benefit you to do that. After Shaw's injury hasn't been reliable, I like Shaw, but come on, says Red. After his injury, he's not been reliable. Where have you been for the last 3 years, mate? He won Player of the Year since his injury. What do you think? We've done that one. And Mark, why do we not sign Sarr? He is the centre-back and he's young. I don't know. Troy Deeney's better than King, says Sean from Ireland. He's a bit old, Troy, to be honest now. And the date is wrong. It's the 6th. You're right. I'll change that. Ryan Lawrence makes a good point. He says, Mark, you said Sancho will start kicking off on the 13th, but what if it doesn't? Do you start thinking it might not actually happen? Look, to me, if we haven't signed Jaden Sancho on the 27th of September and he's played a couple of games for Dortmund and United have played a couple of games in the Premier League, I still will think it's going to happen because the transfer window doesn't close till October. But I'd be less confident. But as long as we are where we are today and Sancho's not said he's staying and nobody of credibility's come out and said he's staying, then the deal will rumble on. You know, I can give you an opinion on when I think, but the reality is there's nothing out there at the moment. Is there? Hunar says that Saeed's big announcement is that he's realised that Koulibaly isn't left-footed. Yeah, probably. And he's going to hate me tonight. And thoughts on Bale to United? Piss off. No. Look, Gareth Bale a few years ago was a fantastic player. I wouldn't go near him now. I think he's older than I think as well. I think he's 31 now. No, and it's not. It might not even be Gareth Bale's fault how he's been perceived by the media, but the reality is, he spent a lot of time in the last 2 years sitting on his backside, and that can do a lot for a player's mentality and motivation. So, no, not for me. This show's been really long. Thanks everyone for watching. Smash a like on the video, subscribe if you're new. And we will obviously have the 8 o'clock show tonight. We've got content going up for you at this lunchtime as well. And if there's any breaking news, which there always can be, we will go live as well. So subscribe if you're new, bottom right hand corner. Smash a like on the video. Thanks everyone for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Thanks to the new members for joining. You've got your badge next to your name now. Thanks to the moderators. And join us for the 8 o'clock show tonight. I think it's going to be funny with Ricky, Adam and Saeed. I'll speak to you in a bit. Thanks for watching.